It's that time again, new Yukon. This is the 2025 GMC Yukon Denali. A couple years ago, I drove the Denali Ultimate. Insane vehicle, so many things going on with that vehicle, just American excess in its definition. And there weren't many things wrong with it, but it seems GMC was listening because they fixed pretty much everything. We're gonna go over all of the changes in this video, what they fixed, but most importantly, how much they're charging, because they've raised the price as well. So let's see if it's worth it. That is a good sound. That's one of the best sounds, actually. The Yukon is one of the last remaining naturally aspirated V8 full-size SUVs on the market. Oh, I am still in 4 low. Yeah, I lifted the vehicle for some shots, and in order to go to the highest setting, you do have to go into 4 low. So real quick, we're gonna throw it in neutral. We're gonna hit air suspension, which this one's been spec'd with. We'll go down to normal. Denali gets you a lot of things. It gets you the mag ride, which we'll see how it rides in a second. So that's magnetic ride control with the dampers that you don't get in the base trim, but it also unlocks the availability of air suspension, with this, which this one has been spec'd with. So we're gonna go into 4-wheel drive auto. Got the 2-speed transfer case on this one. But like I was saying, we do still have a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8. Going with the Denali also gets you that, which is kind of cool. We're just gonna switch our drive mode into sport real quick. Not bad. The sound is good. Upon first impression, that's one of my favorite things about the Yukon. It is just so American through and through. 420 horsepower here, 460 pound-feet of torque. Maybe you guys know, maybe you guys don't. This engine has been recalled by GM, so they're going through the thick of it right now. I'll just leave it at that, but this one's running fine. You're not going to get the same fuel economy as you would in, I don't know, let's say a GX 550 from Lexus or a Ford Expedition. Those both have boosted V6s, so especially off-throttle highway cruising, you're gonna get much better fuel economy. But I mean, the engine's very responsive. It's paired to the same 10-speed automatic here. It shifts a lot, but when you're just kind of in the city, day-to-day driving, you don't notice it. I will say, the 1-2 shift, both up and down, is not always the smoothest. It's almost, it at some points felt like someone who was learning to drive manual and just let out the clutch at the wrong point, shifting up, or was still moving at a decent rate of speed and tried to like stuff the shifter from second into first. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It wasn't like upsetting the car at all, but you feel it. And then everything else, 2 to 10, perfect, amazing. More responsive to downshift than the GX 550 for sure. Like, the torque is just, yeah, it's great. it's always there. The transmission doesn't hold back what you buy an NA V8 for, which is just raw, immediate torque. Yeah, so that's the same. In Canada, we can only get the Yukon spec'd in all-wheel drive, or I guess 4-wheel drive. You aren't able to get the 2-wheel drive model, which you are able to get if you're in the States, so that lowers the MSRP a little bit, which we'll get to. And Denalis are supposed to ride nice. They're supposed to ride better than the standard Yukon, and it does. You know, when you hit big bumps on the freeway and stuff, you're gonna feel it. It's body on frame. It shudders a little bit. It can be stiff, but in most scenarios, most roads, it's really comfortable. It's exactly what I would expect from a Denali. It's supposed to be a massive utilitarian but daily drivable luxury SUV. The drive modes there aren't like 10 drive modes. It's not confusing. There isn't even an individual mode, which I like. It's kind of Volvo-esque in that way. I just mean that it's a bit minimalist. So in sport mode, it doesn't cruise at like 3,000 RPM all of the time. It'll cruise down at 1,200 RPM, just like in normal mode. But the throttle mapping becomes a little bit twitchier. The steering becomes a little bit heavier. And you just get that extra bit of immediacy from both the engine and the transmission. I mean, compared to the Cadillac Escalade IQ, it's nimble. It's thousands of pounds lighter than that vehicle. It just feels substantial. It feels weighty. The steering's a bit heavier. Again, you get that engine note, so you have a little bit of that mechanical feel that I didn't get in the Escalade. What the Denali is just a stealthier Escalade. Brake feels good too. It's really firm. Gives me an idea of how much weight I'm carrying around here, which is about 5,700 pounds. I mean, even just a little blip in the throttle and that torque, it's like, hey, yeah, you want 3,000 RPM? Let's go. It knows, obviously, where peak torque is, and when it downshifts, it's always there, so quick. And the more I drive it, the more I love it. So it's actually quite a big update. First off, when you walk up to a Yukon, especially the Denali, which gets a different grille here, it's all about presence. It's American excess. They've redesigned the whole front end. They've updated the LED headlights here. The LED running lights obviously have been split. It looks a little bit more aerodynamic. I don't know if it actually is, but this whole split running light thing, the new Ford Raptor does it, and a few other vehicles. Call it a trend. They've changed the fog lights as well. These are LED fogs down here. They're a little bit smaller than they were in the Denali Ultimate that I drove, but still the same huge muscular hood. I mean, if I get hit by this thing chest level, this is almost up to my neck, it's ridiculous. So they have not downsized in any way, and that's a good thing. Little Denali detail there. There's a ton of options for the grills. What you can spec the GMC logo here in black instead of red, things like that. Down here, this one's been spec'd with the 24-inch machined pearl and nickel wheels. This is a little bit excessive. It fits so well though with this downpour metallic. I think this color is outstanding, but if I were to spec a Denali, I would absolutely go just with the 22s, which are standard with the Denali. Probably improves the ride quality a little bit, but again, GMC has like 20 wheel options. It's awesome. Of course, the Denali comes with the retractable running boards. A little bit of chrome back here too. Big Denali logo, bigger than the Yukon logo. That's what happens when you build brand. Now, if we get our key fob out, we actually have a button here that'll double tap and open the rear glass. That would be incredibly handy if, I don't know, you're shooting videos, so they haven't got rid of that. That's great. And then of course we've got two cameras here. One of these comes with the max trailering package, so that gives you additional views to see your trailer, your hitch, and then you can wire up a bunch of auxiliary stuff. That package is huge. They've also updated the tail lights a little bit, but the Yukon is just a big box and they've kept it that way. They don't need to change a good thing. Power liftgate, yeah, quite a bit of space, especially let's compare it to something I drove a couple of months ago, the GX 550. Obviously, quite a bit narrower in width than this, but I mean, the cargo capacity, but behind the third row, if you do spec the GX 550 with the third row, apples to apples here, this has way more space. Just an insane amount of cargo space back here. Boom. Done. In the GX, you have to like sit here and wait. It's quite the process. So the Yukon has it beat in just utilitarian, like it's a workhorse. It's a truck at the end of the day. It's got that kind of American work attitude. That was a cringy way to say that, but like, look at that. That is insane. That's crazy. So it's not just cargo. The third row is actually completely usable. It's a giant American 3-row SUV, and that's kind of the biggest thing that the Yukon has ahead of the competition. Now, the seats here, still the same. They haven't changed these kind of cheap feeling mechanical releases and such. This also has the second row entertainment package, which we'll get to packaging a little bit later, but you have to get this if you want certain other things in the car, which is slightly frustrating, but of course, heated second row seats back here, HDMI outputs, plug in your Xbox, all that kind of stuff, and your moonroof. First things you're gonna notice when you drive this, they've changed the steering wheel. It didn't really need changing, but they've added stuff that I didn't really expect from a Yukon. So they have added paddle shifters. When you click it and drive, it doesn't shift. It's not like a traditional manual mode. You do have to go on the steering wheel here and hit low, and effectively that'll just tell English, it's tough. Tell the transmission the highest gear you want it to be in. So let's say you're towing, something like that. And then on the back of the steering wheel, there's also a volume control and a next and back track control for your music. And then also my favorite button on the steering wheel, other than the heated steering wheel button, which is standard, of course. Now they've answered my question. You can put your maps, Google Maps, because of course we have Google built in, which I'll get to, and then over on your gauge cluster, the driver gets to see your maps. We've still got Super Cruise here. That is not standard on the Denali. You do have to spec that as an optional extra. All right, that new gauge display is so much better. Just, it looks simple, the colors are good, it's super sharp, really high resolution, but just the fact they've added maps there is massive. This is not leather wrapped, you guys, so you have to go up to the Yukon Denali Ultimate to get the leather wrapped steering wheel, or the AT4 Ultimate, which is new for this generation. That includes all the off-road stuff, the skid plates, but with the luxury, the full grain leather that you would get in the Ultimate and the second row entertainment. So there's that. There's your start stop button. They've got rid of, if you guys have keen eyes, you'll notice the buttons from the previous generation. There was park, reverse, neutral, and drive right here. It was bad. They've gone back to the stock. That is probably the first thing you'll notice, and it's great. They've gone with a 16.8-inch screen here, but what GMC has done is kept physical controls for the climate control. These are great, very tactile, easy to use. They're always in the same spot. Thank you, GMC. We want a certain amount of buttons, and this cabin has probably the perfect amount. And then on the screen here, first off, there's a little hidden compartment there. That comes in handy. The screen is not only bigger just for bigger's sake, it has got a lot quicker. I noticed in the previous generation it kind of lagged in certain scenarios, but of course we still have Google built in, so that's why we're getting real time. You're getting your traffic updates there and stuff like that. Huge screen, easy to use. This is one of the last GM vehicles that's going to have phone integration. The Cadillac Escalade IQ I drove last week did not have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. This one does, so it's great. I'm so glad I'm able to use it, but they have done a good job with the rest of the infotainment here to make you not necessarily need to rely on phone integration. I will say, one thing that I have not found a setting for is how to turn off my auto start stop. You know, when you come to a light and the engine shuts off and then it goes again, starts up again. When you're driving, you can turn it off. The button's over here. Every time you start up the vehicle, it turns itself back on. That is so bad. Such an oversight. But if you guys have been in the 2025 Yukon and you find a setting that I can't find, please let me know, because I'm hoping it's there. Physical volume knob, of course, that's great. The last thing that I don't love here is the heated seat controls have gone from a physical control down here, buttons, to on the screen. It's just one extra tap it to bring it up, and then turn it on, and then that'll disappear. So it's not the end of the world, and this looks a lot better than the previous generation. There's a lot less piano black, a little bit of wood grain here. That is all piano black. They should have just done the rest with wood, but if they did that, then there would be nothing to say for the Denali Ultimate, so I get it. 2 cup holders there, wireless charging, of course. This is something I didn't ask for, but is so handy. And that'll just fold down the 3rd row from up here. That's huge. But most importantly, we can move our center console with the button up here. So we can slide it back. Great materials, especially everything above your waist is like awesome to touch. It's quiet in here. It's super comfy. Love these seats. They're 8-way adjustable. You've got 4-way lumbar, all that stuff. And my favorite part about this is it will teach you how to tow. The Yukon will give you a towing tutorial and a reversing and how to hook up your trailer and all that stuff if you've never done it. Someone mentioned to me though, they were in the vehicle the other day and they saw that and they're like, that's embarrassing. I would not want my Yukon to teach me how to tow. I want to learn how to tow and then buy a Yukon as like the grad present. The one I'm sitting in today, $125,000 Canadian or $97,000 USD. If you're thinking that's a lot of money, it's because it is. This is an incredibly expensive SUV. More importantly though, 2 years ago, I drove the Denali Ultimate, and that, as spec'd, was $112,000 Canadian. So this is $13,000 more than that, yet I don't have massage seating. I don't even have a leather-wrapped steering wheel. You can get a fully spec'd out Lexus GX 550 with massage seats for about $13,000 less. Same with a fully spec'd out Expedition. No massage, but it's still like $12,000 less than this. So the one I'm sitting in today does have the Denali Reserve package, which has, that includes the air suspension, an ELSD in the back. It includes the moonroof, a ton of features. But the problem is you can't exactly segment the options how you might want to. For instance, if you want the max towing package, if you want all the towing tech, you're forced to get certain other options, luxury options that have nothing to do with towing. So that could be a little bit frustrating, but keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think. Yukon Denali, it's still what a Denali should be, and that's the most important part. So subscribe if you guys haven't already. We'll see you next time.